If you're trying to lose weight, then you're probably always looking for ways to make weight loss easier. Dieting in itself is difficult, and so any small thing that we can do to make the process easier is always welcome. I know that I, for one, am always looking for new ways to make my weight loss easier or my cutting phases easier, especially if I'm already lean. So in today's video, I'm going to be reacting to Remington James, who's going to tell us about 5 simple tricks that are going to make weight loss easy. I'm going to react, see if we agree, disagree, give you my opinion so that you can make the best choices for yourself on your weight loss journey. My name is Shashank. I'm a certified personal trainer with a bachelor's degree in biochemistry, and on this channel, I am your guide to achieving the physique and the mindset that you've always wanted. So with that, let's get into the video.
Me on YouTube, I've been shredded, I've been lean, then I've had extended periods where I would gain weight, I would wear short sleeve shirts in every video, I didn't look as healthy.
So he talks about how he's had a lot of different weight fluctuations, and of course, this screams to me yo-yo dieting. Now, I've also had my experiences with yo-yo dieting, and I'm sure all of you have. What happens is you diet super hard, you do something unsustainable, and then you gain the weight right back the moment that the diet is over or you're not in your perfect situation anymore. And for that reason, you of course need to do something sustainable. You need to find something that you can do long term. A diet is not actually a diet, it's a change in lifestyle. If you want to keep the weight off, then you're going to have to make a change for life, not just for this moment. That of course means eating a healthy diet, fruits, vegetables, whatever really works for you, and also to get in your cardio. That means about 150 minutes of zone 2 cardio every single week. That is what the American Heart Association recommends.
The first rule I implemented was a thing called protein first. And when I would diet, if I had a cheat meal or it was a Saturday, if for some reason I had to eat off program, I was eating pizza, I was eating foods that were extremely high in calories for a very little amount.
For the first tip, he talks about having protein first. And he talks about how if he were to go off plan even a little bit, he would find himself overeating. And again, that goes back to the fact that the diet must be unsustainable. Either that, or as we find out, he's making the wrong choices when he goes out to eat. When you go out to eat, you don't want to be going for the hyper-palatable foods. Relying on willpower does not always work. In fact, it almost never works. At some point, you will fail. Why are you taking chances with the idea that you might fail? Just have a foolproof system. And in this case, he talks about eating protein first. Now, the biggest reason that this works is that protein stabilizes blood sugar. When you have protein at the beginning of a meal, you get a stable release of amino acids, and it creates kind of this buffer so that you are then able to have carbs and fats afterwards. In fact, until our bodies actually have enough protein, they will continue to signal hunger even if you've eaten enough calories. It's because protein is necessary to maintain every single part of your body. And not only that, but protein actually synthesizes dopamine, which is the chemical that allows us to keep going and feel motivated. Now, what can happen is before a meal, your anticipation rises. The hungrier you are, the more your anticipation rises and the more dopamine actually tends to peak. And what happens is that if you get carbs immediately after, then your dopamine actually crashes because carbs provide a ton of serotonin. So really, the hungrier you are, the more you need to prioritize protein. But he is spot on with this tip. I totally agree. Prioritize your protein at every single meal and you will find yourself staying much fuller, make it much easier to stay on your diet.
And my cravings are basically non-existent. And this is where something like my cookbook really helps out because I know if I'm making something out of here, it's already gonna have the protein in it.
And of course, if you want protein-filled meals, then he does advertise his cookbook. I do think that's a lot of the purpose for his stuff is for the cookbook to allow you to kind of have the cravings that you have and fulfill them without going off your plan. But of course, they are high protein, they are very helpful. Highly recommend that you check it out because of course I am doing a reaction video, so I must promote his content. And of course, just like Remington has his bars, has his cookbook, I have to talk about the Osiris Protocol, which is the protocol that I have created to help you achieve the best physique and mindset of your life. This is exactly what I've learned coming back from severe burnout, having to rebuild my body and mind from scratch, and I am positive that this will currently help you as well. There are modules in there on nutrition, on resetting your mindset, the easiest training protocols that will help you not overtrain, not burn out, and finally achieve the fat loss that you've been looking for. If you're someone who's been struggling, not being able to figure out what to do, or you've been burned out on all these like really intense bodybuilder workouts, then I highly suggest that you check out the program. It's on pre-sale now. Go ahead and click on the link in the description. And of course, if you want personalized coaching, the link for that is in the description below as well.
I feel like people need to know this exists. That is Walmart Plus. Essentially, it is grocery delivery that is free.
So the second tip is to utilize Walmart Plus. Now, this really comes down to convenience and a lack of distraction. Essentially, what you are doing is you're removing any chance for error. If you order all of your stuff online, then there's no real temptation for you to get the junk. It's a lot easier to say no to junk if you're looking at it on a screen and it's not actually physically in front of you. When you're at the store, especially if you are hungry or you're dieting, you are more than likely to make the wrong choices. And of course, every time you go into the store, you do utilize willpower to not buy the wrong things. And depending on how addicted you are to eating the wrong stuff, this will be more and more challenging. What this is doing is taking away all the barriers to eating healthy. If you order online, then you have no excuse not to eat healthy because all the food is just going to come to you. What excuse do you really have to not stay on your plan if the food is literally going to be delivered to your door and all you have to do is eat it? Why are you going out and getting junk or eating out if the food is coming right to you? There's absolutely no excuses. And the other thing is, of course, you don't have to expend any willpower meandering through the aisles, wondering what to get. It's all there. And I have used Walmart Plus in the past, so I know that they actually keep track of things you've ordered in the past. So it gets easier over time. If you select your stuff once, then all you have to do is click order again and you'll get the stuff coming to your door. It's literally just shopping on autopilot. It completely takes the mental burden out of it, which is great because the more mental bandwidth that you spend thinking about what you're going to eat, the more you're actually going to want to eat. So this is definitely a great tip by Remington. It doesn't have to be Walmart Plus, of course. Everyone has their curbside pickup or whatever it is. You can find it at your own grocery store and utilize whatever service that they have.
But making sure that I get a minimum of 10,000 steps in every single day has completely transformed everything about my life.
So he talks about getting a minimum of 10,000 steps every single day, and I highly recommend this. I personally love to stay lean by walking. I get a lot of steps. I definitely do more than 10,000 to be honest. I probably average somewhere around 12 to 15,000. But most of us are leading very, very sedentary lifestyles, and we think that our metabolism has slowed down when really it's that we have slowed down. So you need to make a conscious effort to go out and actually get steps in. It doesn't have to be boring. You can put in a podcast, you can listen to something. If you are into the dopamine stuff, then I highly recommend that you try to focus on nature because it just helps calm the mind and reduce overstimulation. But if that's not of importance to you, then go ahead and listen to what you like, walk where you like, make it interesting. One thing that I used to do when I lived in Chicago was literally just to walk around and window shop. I would go to the Apple store because I love Apple products and like technology, and I would just walk around and browse, and then I would walk to like the next Best Buy so that I could go look at other electronics. And this was a great way to pass time. Maybe you grab a coffee on the way, the dopamine's really flowing, things are great, and then you get a ton of steps in.
Overall, it's eliminated just so much stress of this thing that you're really dreading doing in the middle of your day.
But one thing that he does say is that he dreads doing his cardio, and this is where I think there has to be a disagreement. If you are doing your cardio, you should do it knowing the fact that it's going to make you healthier. I personally didn't like to use to do cardio. And the reason that I didn't like to do it was because I would always approach it thinking about how many calories I'm going to burn. But now I'm older, I'm wiser, I've had a lot of health issues, and I realized the importance of actually doing cardio just because it's good for your heart. So I get on the cardio machine and I think, okay, today I'm going to do something good for my heart. I'm going to maybe improve a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit fitter so that I can have a better overall health. And on top of that, even if that wasn't the case, I get a huge mood boost from cardio. So if I am depressed, if I am anxious, if I'm not feeling good, I will go hop on the incline treadmill or I'll get on the stationary bike. And just the fact that I'm sweating, I'm getting these endorphins, it literally like resets my mind. I'm able to focus better. In fact, I just did a cardio session before this video because I get a little bit anxious before filming. But I highly recommend that Remington does not actually stop cardio. What he should do is find a cardio modality that he likes. And even if he likes it, maybe he's going too hard. If you exhaust yourself every single day, you're not going to want to do it. So obviously that level will get better over time. It will get easier for you to do, but you got to push yourself in the beginning to get going. Then as you get more and more efficient with your cardio, then you will feel like it's less and less of a burden. After my burnout, when I first started walking even, I thought it was so difficult. But now I walk 12 to 15,000 steps, no problem. In fact, I might wear a weighted vest on me sometimes, and I don't really think it's a big deal. So walking is great, highly recommend, especially if you're a busy person, but make sure you're also getting your cardio in where you can throughout the week. And he's talking about the fitness trackers. Don't listen to the calories that they say you burn. The fitness trackers are lying to you. They are not telling you the accurate point. In fact, my Apple Watch, I basically consider useless for calories burned. The point is to just get your steps in, because you know that you can standardize your activity level and then judge your calorie intake based on whether you're losing weight week to week or not. If you rely on this number, then you are for sure going to be messing up your fat loss, you're going to get demotivated, and you probably are going to gain a lot of weight. I have found that this thing can be inaccurate for about 300 calories. If you put in a strength training workout, man, you're really messing up. Don't put in any strength training workouts. You're not burning many calories strength training, but it'll tell you that you're burning like 400 calories for an hour. No, you're not. I promise you're not. That was one of the biggest mistakes I used to make, and I used to think, oh, I get to eat all this food. You know what happened? I got fat. I hated how I looked. That's what happened. So don't do it.
Was keep an absolute ton of high protein snacks in my house at all times.
And tip number 4 is to keep a bunch of high protein snacks on standby all the time. And this is a great tip because we get lazy. Even myself, I get lazy all the time. We work hard during the day, and then it comes to preparing food and it's like, oh, I gotta think about what to do. What's my macronutrient ratios? It's a ton of work, and it really doesn't help. And then you go to the fridge and you start snacking, and even if it's fruit, right? There's nothing wrong with fruit, but if you eat fruit on its own, it's really hard to be full because you get that sugary taste and you're like, oh, I could have some more fruit. I have found myself literally eating a pound of strawberries just because it tastes good and I don't feel like stopping. So I realized that I needed to have protein first, and I couldn't just have fruit as a snack. I might allow myself a controlled fruit snack after a workout just to replenish some glycogen, but it really doesn't help for satiety in any single way. But of course, have snacks on standby. And Remington does of course have the Anabar, a protein bar. Good option, go ahead, have an Anabar, it's fine. I'm sure the flavors are amazing. I've been meaning to try one. They have them at my gym and I haven't tried it yet, but they look good. They look really good. Now he says that he has 5 of those in a day. I probably wouldn't recommend that. Number 1, your digestion is probably going to suffer tremendously and you won't feel very good, but also you're missing out on a lot of micronutrients by eating mostly protein bars throughout the day, especially if you're someone who's only eating maybe 1,500, 1,600 calories a day. If you are a woman or even if you're a smaller man, then it's going to be very tough to get in nutrition and you might find yourself actually hungry because you're missing out on vital nutrients even though you might be getting the appropriate number of calories. So I can't really say that I recommend eating that number, but certainly a protein bar is not a problem.
For once on a diet, I was gonna try to minimize the suffering. If I was hungry and I was out of calories, I was gonna eat something. Nope.
Tip number 5 is to minimize the suffering. I cannot agree with this enough, and I think me and Remington have some very similar experiences here. But he talks about how he would try to white knuckle his way through hunger the entire day. And the problem is that's kind of what we're taught, right? We're taught that we need to fast all day, or we're taught that we need to save all our calories and we need to like push hard.
I would typically start any of my cuts around 2,300 calories. But calories right now are around 3,200. Yeah.
At the beginning of a diet, it should be easy. It shouldn't be very difficult for you to lose weight. If it's becoming insufferable, then you need to evaluate your diet or you need to evaluate your goals. Maybe the goal you're striving for is too lofty for you and it's not maintainable. And he talks about how he started to have a bad relationship with food. Yeah, I think everyone goes through this. The majority of athletes, the majority of everyone has problems with food, if you know what I mean. And it happens because when you start to use food as control, this naturally just occurs. You start to see things as numbers, you start restricting, and food is always on your mind whether you're dieting or not. But you can minimize the chances of this occurring by learning from the mistakes of other people. And one of those things is to not white knuckle your way through hunger, rather eat when you're hungry. If you are feeling hungry, then have a high protein food and think if you really need food or not. If you're not hungry, then don't eat. And you start to develop a better relationship with food over time. This is something that I've personally had to learn as well because I used to eat mechanically and now I tend to eat when I'm hungry, when I feel like I need food. It has made dieting way, way easier. In the past, I would do the same thing. I would try to work out for 5 hours, I would do gymnastics, and then I would come back, I would have one meal, and I would say, even if I'm starving, I'm not allowed anything else. And that made it extraordinarily difficult to diet, even though I was obese. There was no reason for me to suffer that much. Yet you saw me suffering tremendously because I was doing everything the wrong way. I mean, I didn't even have electrolytes. I wouldn't let myself have electrolytes because I was worried about the calories in the electrolytes. That's just stupid. Don't make that mistake. So don't start your diet too aggressively. Eat when you are hungry. Don't have food all on your mind. Something you can also do is to kind of identify as someone who's on a bulk even when you're on a cut. And I have found that having that sort of mindset can be really helpful, because if you think that food is all around you, then you won't actually consider it that much. A lot of times we just want what we can't have. So if you tell yourself you're on a diet, you're going to believe that you're hungry. If you tell yourself you're on a bulk, you'll find that you lose weight pretty fast. I find myself not being able to finish my food when I tell myself that, because I mean, I'm honestly an ectomorphic guy in terms of my appetite, but I can become ravenous very quickly when someone tells me that I can't have food. I just don't like being told that I can't have something. So that's a big hack, and I highly recommend it. But totally agree with Remington here. Minimize the suffering and you will feel much better on your diet. So hopefully you learned something. Comment down below, what's the biggest tip that you have for weight loss? And of course, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you can stay up to date when I post new content. Once again, the links for the Osiris Protocol personalized coaching are in the description below. And if you made it to the end of this video, go ahead and check out this one next. It's sure to make your day a little bit better. And of course, I will see you in the next video.